Who was Polycarp? He was a personal disciple of John the Apostle. As an old man, he was the bishop of the church in Smyrna. Persecution against the Christians broke out there in Smyrna, and believers were being fed to the wild beasts in the arena. The crowd began to call for the Christians' leader, Polycarp, so the authorities sent out a search party to bring him in. So when Polycarp was brought into the arena, the proconsul pled with him, "Curse Christ, and I'll release you." Reply, 86 years I have served him. He had never done me wrong. How then can I blaspheme my king who has saved me? The proconsul reached for an acceptable way out. Then do this, old man. Just swear by the genius of the emperor, and that will be sufficient. The genius here is a sort of the spirit of the emperor. Back then they worshiped the emperor as God. To do this would be a recognition of the pagan gods and religion. Reply, if you imagine for a moment that I would do that, then I think you pretend that you don't know who I am. Hear it plainly, I am a Christian. For entreaties, and Polycarp stood firm. The proconsul threatened him with the wild beasts. Reply, bring them forth. I will change my mind if it meant going from the worse to the better, but not to change from the right to the wrong. Proconsul's patience was gone. I'll have you burned alive. Reply, you threaten fire that burns for an hour and is over, but the judgment on the ungodly is forever. The fire was prepared. Polycarp lifted his eyes to heaven and prayed, Father, I bless you that you have deemed me worthy of this day and hour, that I might take a portion of the martyrs in the cup of Christ. Among these, may I today be welcomed before thy face as a rich and acceptable sacrifice. As the fire engulfed him, the believers noted that it smelled not so much like flesh burning as a loaf baking. He was finished off with the stab of a dagger. His followers gathered his remains like precious jewels and buried them on February 22nd, a day they set aside to be remembered. The year was about 155 AD.